All right. Okay, everybody. Today I'm going to be giving you your what should be the final demo for Premiere Pro. So you've made it to the end. Congratulations. Let me put on some light here. Well, you don't need to see me because we're doing the demo. Anyhow, so congratulations for making it this far. We're doing the demo on Premiere. I just got a few, eight or so, I think, different aspects or things I want to talk about. Yeah, my hair is funny. I messed my hair. My daughter was playing with it. So we got about four things or so, or seven or so things that we're going to go over. Um, uh, and including thinking about writing your own treatment, because I do want you guys to think about your projects. When you're thinking about your treatment for these projects, you want to consider who your audience is going to be. That's always number one. So think about that. If you're making this film for your family, then you're going to make it one way. If you're going to make it for your friends, you're going to make it another way. But in general, if you're an artist, again, filmmaker, I want you to approach this as if you're making this film like a professional. This is going to be something that will be shown either in theaters or on television somewhere. So you might want to reach as broad an audience as possible. That's typically the strategy of, I think, most filmmakers or documentarians in general, because you want to get eyeballs, you don't want to exclude eyeballs, but at the same time, depending on your topic, it could already cause some people to not really want to watch it, again, depending on the topic. Um, I'm reminded of, for example, the documentary that just released about within the last year is on Hulu. It's called Hail Satan, and it's about the Church of Satanism. I think it's in Los Angeles, and their plight to get a statue of Baphomet put up next to the city council or city hall, where some Judeo-Christian people decided to put up some sort of a statue of the Ten Commandments. So they thought, well, if we want religious freedom, we need to have all these kinds of representation. So again, it's more to think about in terms of the notion of equality, and do we really have true freedom to for religion. So that was the point. But it's a really interesting documentary either way, and even depending on your politics or religious perspective, doesn't matter. Where this is about being in college and being about critical thinkers. So I would say I would encourage you to watch it, especially if you think you're uneasy on it. So today, but that's the idea. I want you to think about that in terms of your when you're writing your treatment. And usually the treatment's only about a page or two. It's not long, and you're getting the major ideas and themes. Think of it also as if you're writing your a form of like a one-page, maybe like a rhetorical essay, if you remember those from high school, where you give your introduction. You have three main points. Usually you're giving your introduction, you expand on those three main points in a paragraph, one, two, three, and then you have a concluding paragraph. So it's typically 5 paragraphs total. And that concluding paragraph, you do a summation of your points. That's sort of as a way to remind people. So that's also a way to think about your treatment for your documentary. Keep in mind too, when you're making documentaries, and this will be beyond just today, but we always want flexibility, because many times we think of we're going to do our film one way and it's going to go one way, but then it ends up going a different way. So it's just one of those things that happens. So, think about those things when you're writing your treatment. So what I want to do now is I want to go over how to record audio in Premiere, because we haven't really talked about that per se, in that the audio is typically, it's something that so far I've been talking about in terms of bringing it in. There are a couple of ways to do this. You can watch your film, sit there with your device, or if you have an audio recorder, like at our school, we have Zoom recorders, so maybe you have one of those, and you just watch it and record yourself. Everything else is on mute. One of the best ways to get really good audio, and this was a trick that I learned way back about 10 years ago, is many of us don't have access to professional recording studios, but what we do have access to a closet. Sometimes if you go in your closet, because you have clothes in there, it creates a really great damping atmosphere, so that your audio doesn't sound very harsh or echoey, because audio bounces off walls. This is why whenever you look at recording studio footage, it looks like there's egg cartons all around, or like foam that looks like an egg carton. Well, that's there to absorb audio. So again, the audio doesn't bounce around. So you get something like that if you have a closet, because your clothes will act as a dampener. What you could also do, and this is one that I've done many times, is if you're recording on your computer or you like a little headphone like this, you can get like a coat or a jacket, cover yourself completely, and just have your head. And if you talk again into your computer screen, if you don't have a microphone, or use one of these, or you have those Bluetooth headphones, sometimes you just do that, and that's enough of a dampening environment so that your audio sounds pretty good and it doesn't sound super echoey. So there's multiple ways of trying these techniques. Some people have built themselves tiny little closets using cardboard boxes. I mean, order something from Amazon or just go to the hardware store, get a box, for $5, $10, put it around you, can make holes, and then that's a pretty decent little dampener sometimes. So you can line that with egg cartons and whatnot, and you get good sound out of there. But now let me show you the technique in Premiere. So let's do share screen. I'm gonna do my my whole desktop. So let's do this. Okay, because it'll just be easier for us. All right, so here's Premiere. And typically we'd be here, right? And we're looking at the film that we made before. This is the part of the again picking up from a couple weeks ago for all the demos I've been giving. So this one will have some fade ins. It'll already have some audio in here. I'll play it.
Was really quite cool.
So we know we have audio, right? Okay. So I press the up arrow to make my playhead jump back. Now these instructions I'm just going to show you. They're in that document again. I think it's page 4 is what it is. Let's see, page 5. Yeah, it'll be on page 5 under VoiceOver audio. So I have all that particular instructions here. Some of this will be a little bit different, again, because this was an older version of Premiere, but the way I'm going to show you now, it almost feels like it's easier now because we have all these buttons. So last week, remember, I showed you how to do the insert track. It's under sequence. You go all the way down, and then you do add track. So you can add yourself a couple tracks. And don't do the submix, just do regular tracks, and add yourself. You're gonna have like 2 or 3, so I would say maybe add 1 if you're running out of space. So this is what it looks like. I have 4, and I have some audio in 1. I don't want to record on the same audio track. Remember, I always want to record on its own audio track, and this is kind of true. Many people feel like they just like to have like one piece of audio per track. So if it's dialogue, nothing but dialogue. And I mean, I think that's good advice. Have nothing but dialogue. If you have music, that becomes a music track. So A2, A3, A4, A5. Dedicate those to special effects, sound mixes, or even the sound design or score, and only put that on that track. Same thing with the video. I mean, if you're doing video of certain sections, so this way you don't mix and match, do the same thing. I always like putting my let's say my interview track either on V1 or V2, and that's all that's there, and everything else gets put above it or below it. Even this idea of cutaways, again, always above and below. You don't need to put it on the same track, put above or below. All right, so 2 things that are very important when we start our recording for our audio is 1, we need a target, or we need to know which track it's going to go to. That's why I started talking about the track. So just keep that in mind. We want to know where it's going to go. And 2, when is it going to start in our video too? So playhead, and that should become part of your philosophy. And that's probably the theme for today is mind the playhead. Okay, because today it's going to be very important, because there's going to be the techniques I'm going to show you today, about half of them are based on where the playhead is. And the playhead, to remind you, is this guy, right? It's that blue line with that little, what looks like a marker, like a blue marker with the long line down, and technically is a marker. It's just showing you where in your project what we're watching. So like, for example, up here in program, it's like, where's that scene? It's right here. So that's what that playhead is for. So remember that. Step one, and a lot of this stuff is, where's your playhead? Put your playhead where you want your audio to start. Where you want your audio to start. So I'm going to hold down my shift key with my left hand, and then my right hand I'm going to grab over here and see it snaps. See how it just it snaps. So that's because of this guy right here. This little it looks like a magnet upside down in the middle here. Just make sure that's blue. All right. So you might look at my timeline too, and it looks like the video is being squashed. All I did is go here between my video and my audio, and if you go in there, you'll get these the double bar with the two arrow. You can press and hold and go up and down, so you can adjust that. And I'm just making mine. I pushed it up because again, I want to focus on the audio. Okay, and either way, I can watch my video on my program pane right there, so I can see and comment if I want to. For this particular demo, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to approach this as if I've already been editing this project, this show here. I already know what's coming, what's going. So it would help if you wrote down even some of your comments beforehand if you wanted to add when you add your voiceover, because you, again, you don't want to just, be cutting yourself. Again, you might even do this voiceover where you're just filming yourself and then you're putting it in later. I mean, that's a technique that a lot of people do. Again, just don't do a lot of jump cuts. But here we go. So we put our playhead where we want to start. And then one more thing I want to do is I have these little buttons here. One's mute track, solo track, and here's my voiceover record. What I want to do first is I don't want to mute the track. I want to solo. So when I hit solo, what that means is every other audio track will go silent. A great technique to use in that it becomes less of a distraction, and also if you're trying to record in an environment where you don't have a microphone like this, then you'll definitely want to do that, because if you're recording without a microphone and audio is playing from your speakers and you forget to mute that, you're going to record the speaker volume, the speaker sound into your voiceover, and it'll just sound terrible and weird. Well, and just to let you all know that the idea of visibility or soloing is also available on the video side. It's just over here under the eyeballs. It's called toggle track output. So you just turn it off. If you don't want to see something, just click on it and it gets that blue, that eyeball with the slash through it. So it's just like in Photoshop. It just turns things visible, or it just means I can see it or I can't see it. With the slash, it means I can't see it. That's all that means. So I've put my playhead where I want. I put the solo over here, and I'm in editing workspace. Over here under audio, under my editing workspace, I'm going to the audio clip mixer just so you can see what we're looking at here. And it indicates that I have my soloing turned on audio 2. So again, remember, I know it's going to go to my second track, and I know where it's going to start, which is right here. And it should be about, 4 seconds and 18 frames in. So very, very specific. And what's cool about this is the automatic settings, the default settings inside of Premiere are already set so that when I hit the record button, it gives me what's called a pre-roll. That allows me to prepare to get ready. So I don't have to hit record and just start talking, right? It's going to give me record. It's going to count down from 3. I'm going to see it on my program. And once it gets to 0, then I start talking. So this way I can get prepared and ready and even like look at my script if I need to. So I have my headphone plugged in, I have my voiceover ready to get my soloing here, and I have put my playhead. If you're having problems with your audio, let me show you some settings, because we haven't really talked a lot about the system settings and preferences, but there's quite a few here. But if we look at, for example, audio hardware, and that's what we want to look at, we have quite a few settings that we can choose from. Now, the one that I want to look at is under default input. I want to make sure it says external microphone, and it's already set. So that means it's already hitting my microphone. If it doesn't, just click here and choose it, okay? And just so you can see, it even has my Zoom audio device. So it's even detecting that from my Zoom recording. And also for default output, if some of you are having problems with like your audio, maybe not, it's not really, I can't really hear myself, so I'll take it off. Not really being able to hear yourself with headphones, then if you go to default output, you choose it here. I found with a lot of students in the last, I would say, year or two, I really noticed this. Premiere settings in the software are different than your system settings. What that means is just because you plug in headphones and maybe in your Mac you can hear your audio, but you may not be able to hear it in Premiere, and that's because of the default output. You have to go in here and change it to your headphones if that is the case. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And if you have more problems, go to the help menu. There's a really good help menu. So I'm gonna quit this. Yeah, everything's online these days, right? All right. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm ready to record. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All I do is go over here to microphone, hit VoiceOver record, and then I'm going to do the demo. You're going to see the playhead go, but you're not going to see anything recorded. Don't worry, that's just the way it works. When I hit my space bar to stop or K to stop, then all the audio will get filled in. That's kind of typical. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. So now I'm starting my recording, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking at Judy giving an explanation for her days in Belle playing as a teacher, how she met her husband, and there he is, the husband, the bus driver, showing us how to start the bus. And then we're seeing the bus depot, back to Judy, and that's the end. So pause, hit the space bar, and there we see that the audio recording gets made. See? And it even looks like it's right within my levels that I want. And if I want to go back and hear it, I just push my playhead back. I'm tapping the space bar, and there it goes. So now I'm starting my recording, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking at Judy giving an explanation for her days in Belle playing as a teacher, how she met her husband, and there he is, the husband, the bus driver, showing us how to start the bus. And then we're seeing the bus depot, back to Judy, and that's the end. So perfect. And one of the notes that I have in the demo was that for some of this stuff, or for audio recordings for interviews, you want to target about -12. The idea, and as I've been mentioning, is you just want to think of -6 as sort of your highest point. So make sure that try to target -12. Your audio shouldn't go past -6. And this one's a pretty good, I would say a pretty good demo of what you want yours to look like over here in the, when we're watching the levels, because I did peak at -6 and I stayed around -12, even went down to -18, but it works out fine. It's going to be fine. And even when I play it back, let's turn off the solo and let's hear it playing back. We're going to have a competing audio because both things are going to be going. Just to show you, here's what it sounds like. So now I'm
really
starting my recording,
we met
and what I'm doing here is I'm looking at Judy giving an explanation for her days in Belle playing as a teacher, how she met her husband. So what I might want to do at this point is, let's say, well, I don't want to get rid of her audio, but I do want it lower, so I can maybe bring this a little lower like this. I can just do it to all my clips again, because I remember I did that demo on how to drop the audio. So let's say I did that, and here's what it sounds like now. So now I'm starting my recording, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking at, it shows that she's still talking. We can kind of hear it. I do that more just to give her a sense of presence. And again, it'll depend on your particular project or how you feel that it's the best way to use it. But I know for me, I think in this particular instance, that I do, when I do my work, I do like to have a little bit of presence for my my talent, or when I'm doing my interviews. So I wouldn't necessarily delete the audio, but I would just probably minimize or drop the volume on it. Now, of course, the other option is I can remove it, and just before, like, see right now, if I click and I hit delete, I get rid of the whole thing, which I don't want to do. Remember, I have to go over here and click the link selection button. So now I can delete them separately, just like that. And when I play back, there's going to be no volume from Judy. So now I'm starting my recording, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking. There you go. So I'm going to undo that because I do like that. This audio itself, it's not only here in my timeline. The file gets saved automatically into your project pane. So if I go over here to project pane, I'm going to make this full screen, and I'm doing that again by going to the my keyboard. Underneath the escape key is that tilde, right? The little. If I press that, it makes it go full screen. But what I want to show you here is the fact that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 audio files that have been created. So I'm going to delete them all. because I only want the one that I just made. If I double click this one, and I'm gonna push play so you can hear it, this is the recording I just made. So now I'm starting my recording, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking at Judy giving an explanation for, there we go. So that's the audio that was just made. So I can go in here and click on that. And again, like what I always like to do is just get organized. I call it voice over, or I could do introduction, voiceover, hit return, and there it is. So what would I probably want to do in this case? That's right, make a bin. Let's do another bin. Oh, this one, 2 got made. Let's delete that one. Here we go. And we're going to call this voice over audio. I'm going to drag and drop this in there. And see, again, that's the problem with working these tiny windows, because then you start to scroll up and down. So to make myself more comfortable, let's just change this to assembly. See, and then boom, much easier to work with. Drag and drop this guy into, where's voiceover audio, and it's under Judy interview. So I can either leave that there or pull it out. This works the same way if I remember correctly, as long as I have that bin selected. And let's say I want to do another voiceover. So let's say I want to do another one over here for A3. So I'm going to target A3. I'm going to solo this, and I'm going to hit the button here. And again, when I hit this record button, it's going to target it to put the audio in that particular A3 track. So if I want to look at that, I can even go to the workspace here. It says audio. And I'm going to get a lot more information. It gets a little confusing. So it's up to you if you want to look at that. Let's just go to editing, because it's just a lot simpler. And I'm going to select voiceover audio, and then let's try it again. 3, 2, 1. We're doing one more demo where I'm showing how the audio gets recorded into the target tracks. This is in case it's audio 3. And also, if I select the proper bin, how the audio will go in there. So here we go. Pause. Okay. So no, it looks like it didn't get thrown in there. It should get thrown in there. That's making me into a liar. Well, that happens sometimes. So audio 3, and I'll just say voiceover part 2. Again, this is all up to you in terms of the organization, how you want to organize it. If I don't want it, if I was like, oh, I don't like what I did, I can delete that, of course. And it's saying that giving me the error that this might happen, I'll just say yes, and it's gone. And all my audio is gone. Okay, so that's how you do voiceovers. Email me with questions on that. Okay, so another thing that I want to show you guys is in terms of editing, one of the techniques that was pretty popular with Final Cut Pro, and let's go back to our video stuff over here, I showed you the technique of using subclips. Well, there was a way that we can edit where if we want, we can just take the footage directly from the source into the timeline. I'm showing it to you now because I didn't want to go over that earlier, because I wanted to give you the subclip demo first. Usually we do it the other way, but you know, trying something a little different this time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about 3-point editing coming from the source pane. 3-point editing. Now, with 3-point editing, what that means is we have to establish what our in-point for a clip, our out-point for a clip, and the destination in the timeline. And we can do all that right from within our source pane so that we can just start editing clips. You're like, well, why haven't we been doing that from the beginning? You know, like, duh. And it's like, well, because you need to have good work habits. And as you're starting off, being able to create subclips and organize, it's just going to be very helpful going forward, especially on your bigger shows and the more complicated shows. If you're just doing like a quick 1-minute video, this actually might work out here for you, because it's again, if we're doing something fast. So here's how this works. This whole clip is 28 minutes and 31 seconds, right, in 0 frames. So me, if I'm doing this edit and I kind of know what I want and I can edit quickly, then I might not need to create subclips. Not the case at all, but Again, let's say I'm just going to go directly in, or maybe I'm on a time crunch and I just got to build something for tomorrow. So first thing I need to do,
just a short time later, and then
let's say, okay, that's where I want to start. I'll set my endpoint. Okay, number one, let it play.
Decided that it was supposed to be. So
And I pause there. And it's supposed to be, and I put O. So if we look in this, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see what we've done here. We have this little part here, in and out. And so three things are needed: endpoint, outpoint, and then destination. So again, remember I said at the beginning, we're going to talk about our playhead and minding the playhead. Where is it? So in this case, I put it right here because this is where I want to add my clip. Okay, I'm going to add it right here. The next part that gets complicated is, well, where does the audio go and where does the video go? Which track? That's what these are for. These are called like my toggle source or toggle from source. And I can move this up and down. See that? So there we go. I'll just put it so you guys can read it, but it says source patching. Okay, well now it doesn't. There we go. Source patching for inserts and overwrites. So I want to put this, just so you guys can see it, I'm going to put it here in V1. And what's going to happen with the insert, it's going to push all the content. It's going to insert itself and push all the content back. So whenever we do an insert edit, what that does is it's going to add time, right? It's going to add time to our project no matter what. And it's also going to, so it's going to push all the video back and also anything in the audio back. And because right now, if I look at it, my audio is going to go right here as well, and it's going to push everything back. If I put it here where my interview or my voiceover was, it's going to split that audio and push that back. So if I want, I can even put my audio way down here in A3 where there's nothing here. So let's see what happens. I'm going to put a V1 here. I'm doing that so you can see the video get pushed back. And then I'm going to do the audio. Let's move this up. So you can see it get pushed right here. So let's do an insert edit. All right, and there's two ways I can do an insert edit. It's these buttons right here. Insert, override, and then this is to export a still frame. So like I say, I want this here. If I press this button, I can export that out. Boom, there's my still frame for my show. I could send that off to marketing, or if I'm doing a website, whatever, that's all I need to do. It's pretty easy. It's just this little camera button right here. Shortcut is Shift-E. Shortcut for this is comma, and shortcut for overwrite is period. And if we look at this using our claw on our keyboard, JKL in and out, we'll see that comma is right between K and L, and the period is between L and semicolon. So it's all beautifully located. If you're doing your right hand mouse, left hand keyboard, or right hand keyboard, left hand mouse, you'll see that it's all right there in the claw, and that will round out really the main, all of our main setting our endpoint, setting our outpoint, playing, and then inserting or overriding our clips, all within those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shortcut buttons. Really beautiful right there. So let's go ahead and do an insert. Boom. And look what that did. It pushed all the video back, and it even split the audio. So, and you're like, well, why did it push the audio back? There was no audio. It's just taking everything in that area and splitting it back. See, it even split my voiceover. So let's see what that sounds like. Oh, actually, I gotta. Why do we not hear anything? Because I still have solo on. So I gotta turn that off. And if you notice, the solo was working because we did hear a little bit of her audio. Her days and Belle. Now it's her.
that it was supposed to be. So
Belle playing as a teacher. See, and there you go. It's split. So let's undo that. Turn off that solo. What I'm going to do now, or actually no, let's do it again. Let's do an insert audio. Boom. So we have that. But this time, what I'm going to do.
It's time.
I eventually just did.
Let's do her again. Import.
I eventually just said, all right, it was time. I just needed a little more time to get to know him better.
And how?
Okay, there we go. And let's do outpoint again. And this time I move my playhead over here, a little further down. But this time we're going to do an override edit. Override is just going to replace. Override edits, as long as they're shorter than the whole project or the rest of your project, don't add time. But if you're inserting a really long clip that maybe is, 15 minutes long while what you're editing is only 5 minutes long, well, it's just going to it's going to start from where it is and then 15 minutes from there, right? Because that's how long it is. And if it's longer than whatever your current timeline is, it's going to be till the 15 minutes is over. So let me show it to you. Insert, boom. And there it is. And this time the insert went on top here, but notice what it didn't do. It didn't split anything. And it just added itself up top. And let's listen to that now. Showing us how to start the bus. And then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually just said, all right, it was time. I just needed a little more.
And I think, and right now it might sound confusing because it's the same clips that we've already used. So let's do something different. So it's not confusing. Let's go over here.
V-Dad's high school principal.
Here we go.
He was very laid back. Jack was very accommodating.
There we go. So let's in point, out point. Let's do it again. Override. Doom. There we go. Showing us how to start the bus. And then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually just said, all right, it was time. I just needed a little more time to.
See, and that's just the end. So that's the override, and it got put up here and down here again because of the the V1 is referencing this because that's just source one, and for video and for audio, and it's this particular track and this particular track. And notice there's no split here. So if you don't want to split and you just want to do an override, let me show you that technique one more time, because then we're going to target V3. So I can show you how I can add it to V3, and we're also going to do V4 here. And notice, see, I can scroll in between. This is the advantage of this because I can look at A4 here. I don't have to worry about any of that audio because I know what that is. And I'm going to look at my A4 up here. So let's override again. Boom. See, and there it is. It got placed up top. Nothing got split. Just to show you, there's all the content is there. All the content is there. That's the override because of this and the source patching. Remember this here, the ones in between, the ones that are actually numbered, that's for if you're doing a like a copy and paste, if you're targeting. So like if I want this, I copy and I paste it, depending on where these are, that's where it's going to go. So if I have it, even though I'm copying pasting here, so let's say I copy that and I paste, it got put down here because of my V1. It's just going to defer to the one that's closest or the highest number or the lowest number, V1. That's what it's doing. So that's what these are for copy and paste. Okay. So that's override and that's insert editing using 3-point editing. Let me show you guys a little bit in terms of adding effects, because we haven't really talked about effects much except for the transitions. So it's pretty easy when we're talking about effects. So here's the effects. Let me bring up one video effect, something that's going to be obvious, like a distortion. All right, let's do a lens distortion. All you need to do is, again, under effects, under it's under my my main pane here, my project pane. So let's say this is where I'm starting. I click on this, I go to effects. Here's all my effects, and I just went to video effects, and I opened up something that said distortion and lens distort. And all I need to do is drag and drop and put that on top of my clip, just like that, okay? Put it on the clip, and you're like, well, I don't see anything yet. Well, if I open up my effects controller, here's my lens distortion. And there's nothing there yet, but if I go to my numbers, I just now add numbers. So it's just like Photoshop. Press and hold, see, and I go up, go down. Let's go down. Let's do vertical decentering just so I can show you how I can mess with this quite a bit. Let's go. There we go. So quite a bit of distortion.
Reminded me very much of my
showing us how to start the bus, and then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually just said, all right, it was time. I just needed a little more time to get.
And the beauty of this is, like, at any point, if you don't like any of this, remember, I can always go over here and hit reset, or like, I don't like this effect. If I'm in effects control, I select my effects here and I tap delete. That should go away. Hello. Yeah, that should be, there it is. I don't know, third time's a charm, I guess. Sometimes I get funny little Adobe Premiere glitches. So that's all you need to do is select it and hit delete, and that'll go away. And there it is. So I would encourage you just go ahead and experiment with this stuff. Since it's just the intro class, you can add some effect, just change the settings and start to play with that. You might ask a question saying, well, we did a little bit in terms of keyframing last time. It's like, that's right. You can create keyframes where the effects start off with 0, go to 100%, and then go back to 0. So let's say I want to do something like that. I'm going to play
showing us how to start the bus.
So let's do another one. Magnify. I don't know what that is. So let's add magnify. All right, so let's say we're
showing us how to start the bus,
and then we're seeing the bus. Okay, so sometimes what I like to do when I do a keyframe, let's say this is where I want it to, boom, I want it to be at 100% because I want it to be gradual. Okay, like a gradual, like a keyframe. So I go to where I want it to be, and let's say it's a circle. Let's keep it at a circle. Center, magnification. Okay, I want magnification. So let's open this up. It's kind of funny. Just see something in the middle. I guess it's going to magnify wherever I put this thing, because I've never used this one before. It's making it pretty big, but I could probably even make that, if it's 100%, but let's make it bigger. Here we go. So it's a little strange. So there we go. Yeah, the center is a little weird. So I'm going to magnify her face. There. And so what I want to do here then is do it like a keyframe, right? So let's go turn the keyframe on there. Boom. What I want to do is I want to put this all the way back and put this back to 0 maybe, right? Back to 0. And let's push play. And we can see it here. We can see that we have 0, and then we have like, a huge number.
He reminded me very much of my
showing us how to start the bus, and then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually just said, all right, it was time. I just needed a little more time.
See how it's animated? Now, again, the reason why it's confusing is because of all this stuff down here. Let's make all that invisible and just look at her right now.
Reminded me very much of my
showing us how to start the bus, and then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually just said, all right, it was.
See, so it zoomed in on her head, and as we notice, what this particular effect did is it creates a circle, and it only shows that, and everything else goes to black. So that's this kind of feather. So I can even feather, make everything look a little soft on the edges. And the opacity is 100%, so I could probably lower, she's all the way, there we go. Scaling is standard. We got blend modes, so we can even play with blend modes. Those are kind of fun to play with. I have her at 512. Shape is a circle. Still, I could change it to a square if I want. Seeing if I rewind. There's the square. So let's showing us how to start magnification, and then we're seeing the bus. She's magnified within that square still. And I could change the size of that too. Remember, that's over here under my scaling. Or not my scale. Let's see, magnification. And I could probably change the shape of my my square here if I wanted to. I could probably make that smaller. So I have that selected. Let's see what I can do here. Center. Oh, and I'm making more actually now. Remember, because so I was saying mind your playhead, because if I don't mind my playhead, because I already have keyframes, any more adjustments I make, it's just going to add more. So I'm just going to select that and hit delete because I don't want that to happen. link, size. So there's the size of my square. That's where it goes. It wasn't under scale. So I want to make that a little smaller. So I can make the size of that smaller, and then I can make the size of the magnification bigger. So it's just maybe her eyeball. And let's do that. That'll be kind of fun. Let's make it so that's just her eyeball that's getting magnified.
He reminded me very much of my
showing
high
us
school
how to
principal.
start the bus. And then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually
back to
just said,
Judy,
all right, it
and
was time. I
that's
just
the
needed a
end.
little
So-
more time to get to know him.
And there were 2 keyframes, so that's why I went big and small again. So see, and there we can see them. So it's not magic. So let's say, whoops, let's delete that. I don't want to make that mistake. There we go.
Of my
Showing
high
us
school
how to
principal.
start the bus. Bigger, and then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually
back to
just said,
Judy,
all right.
just for the eyeball. Okay. All right. So that's just adding an effect. And remember, if it feels like I don't like anything that I'm doing, select magnify, hit delete. It's completely gone. All of the keyframes go away, and you can start over or try another one. And I do want you to add an effect of some kind for your project. So again, that's all. It's really just about experimenting, really, at this point. We do have something also called video adjustment layers. So they work the same way that the adjustment layers do in Photoshop. And what that means in terms of adjustment layer is you can put, these are all different types of layers here, right? And yes, these are all video layers, but you can put an effect. So if I go over here back to my project pane, I'm just going to show it to you because trying to explain it's ridiculous. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to create another bin, and I'm going to call that adjustment layers. And I'm just going to give you the basic principle right now. We're going to go over this in more detail in the advanced editing class. But what I do is I go over here to, again, the new item, click on that, and I choose adjustment layer. Boom. Now, for video settings, it's probably going to take whatever the sequence is. So I would say just leave it. I'll say OK. And because I had that bin selected, it put itself inside. That's what should have been happening too with the VoiceOver audio. It's just one of them little glitches. So here I'm just going to say, I'm going to call this make everything brown. I'm not going to go over color correction in detail now. Again, we do that in the advanced editing class. But I'm going to show you, like, if I want to add like an effect then and make everything like this specific color, I can do that. So what I want to do is I want to choose all my layers that are going to get affected. So I know I need to put it in at least V4 or V5 because I want to affect everything underneath it. Yeah, okay, that's this. So, but what I'm going to do is show you how this works. I'm going to move this particular bus driver clip up. See, just like that. So I'm moving it up. I'm going to do one more. Here we go. So I'm putting that in V5. And I'm going to put my adjustment layer in V4. So everything's going to be adjusted except for this bus driver clip here. The bus driver clip is not going to be affected in any way. Let me bring everything back. All the video layers are back. So there's all our effect. And again, the layer here is going to affect everything underneath it. So let's take a look. All right, and I'm going to shrink this down so we can see everything. And this will come in handy doing the Command Z because it'll show my entire timeline. Or if you have a trackpad, I'm just pinching and zooming this way. Or Command plus, Command minus. Again, that plays with the height. Makes these bigger or smaller. Okay, bring this over. I'm going to put it right here to start with. Here, because I want to start it at the beginning, just after my titles. But again, since I wanted to affect everything underneath it, all this stuff, the ending is actually right over here. I'm going to bring this down because I don't want to, I'm more interested in the video than the audio. So I'm going to bring this down so I can see more of my video. Here we go. So I know I have to stretch this out all the way to at least here. Make everything brown. And then what I do is once I stretch it out, I select it. See, so it's highlighted. And then what I'm going to do over here is go back to my effects. And then I'm going to look at Lumetri presets. Or again, I can also do effects. Let me just show you the presets because these presets just give us a bunch of looks. So let's just go to speed looks. And if I go to cameras, I'm going to show you all these cameras are here to show us that if we want our footage to look like a camera, we choose this. So let's say I kind of want to go for that Alexa look or Amira look, or this in case it's the Alexa. And let me make this bigger. Again, I put my arrow in the box here and I hit tilde and it goes full screen. These are all the presets. So this is what your video will more or less look like when I drag it onto another clip. See, and look, I have all kinds of settings. So I'm going to go for this gold tobacco look here, kind of like that. And I'm just going to scroll down, or I can find it here, gold tobacco. And there it is. So I'm going to drag that and put that inside of the everything's brown. And we're going to show you what it looks like. And I'm going to make my whole screen go, I'm going to make my screen go full screen using the tilde again. Boom, oops. Not that one, I want it up here. So I want the video to go full screen. So now I'm starting my recording, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking at Judy giving an explanation for her days and
decided that
it's one of those things.
Supposed to be, so
playing as a teacher, how she met her husband.
Initial reaction was physically he reminded me very much of my
showing us how to start the bus, and then we're seeing the bus depot.
I eventually just.
But we also see how the background's got this really interesting green look. So again, this is for you all to experiment. If I don't like that, I just do Command Z and undo it. Or if it's there, remember, I say, oh, I don't like what I did. I do have the ability to play with curves, just like I did in Photoshop. Works the same way. But if I just don't like what I did, remember, I go to my effects. It's in the effects. I'll find it here, Lumetri color, and then just tap delete, and it goes away. Okay, so let's say that I want to do an effect of some kind. Let's do a noise and gain. Let's see, dust and scratches, make it look like a film project. I add that. And now let's go full screen. So I put my arrow. So the way the full screen goes into further emphasize the technique on that, it's not necessarily just putting the blue where, you know, because if it's where the cursor is. So if even though if I have this highlighted, but my cursor's over here and I hit tilde, all my presets or my effects controllers are going to get expanded on. So I want to make sure wherever my playhead, wherever my cursor is pointing, and then I hit tilde, that's what gets full screen. So here it is with scratches. So now I'm starting my recording, and this is one of those where I have to add it and then turn it on, because yeah, radius is 0. So let's go dust and scratches. So let's go big, and then threshold. Let's make that kind of big. Let's see what all that does, because again, I'm just adding this to see. I'm curious myself. So now I'm starting my recording, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking at Judy giving an explanation for, it's making her kind of key out a little bit. Maybe that's just what it does. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. So that's my computer is really pushing hard, so that's a really intense effect, and we can see that there's red over this too, which means if I wanted, remember I could render it, I hit the return key, and it'll just create a render file. So it'll make the effect for me so that it'll play back in real time. And it's being slow on my machine right now because I'm recording this demo as well as running Premiere and then trying to create effects. So, you know, it could be a little slow. But, you know, I like to push things, so why not? It's saying it might be a minute left. Let's just stop that. I don't need to go. But that's the idea. That's all you need to do is hit return on your keyboard and it'll create it. Let's let that finish up. Got the spinning beach ball. So we're really pushing it. And on my end over here, I can really hear my computers. Like the fans are just going nuts. Yeah. So yeah, play with your effects. Just play with them. I'll show you one more thing on how to make a video still. So let's say that I want a bus driver here. So what I want to do is target that, and let's look at source. Let's override this stuff. So if I want to get rid of any, like, let's say, well, you know, I'm having problems creating my still. Well, let's see, I'm gonna do it right here. Actually, since the still button's right here, it's gonna create a still on that. If I'm over here, again, depending on which one you choose, so it might be easier if you go to assembly, if you're gonna create your still, because then you only have one camera button or one export frame. So I put my clip here and I hit export frame. And now it's saying, well, what format do I want? Well, I can choose JPEG, DPX, whatever. Again, different PNGs, TIFFs. Let's just do a JPEG. I'm going to call this still demo. And I can even click import into project. So if I want to create one still that I want to put at the end, so like, you know, you want to recreate that end of 400 blows, just check that off and it'll put it wherever your playhead is. But I'm not going to do that. Now, let's say that I want to save this still because I want to see it or I want to email it to someone. Well, I can put it, if I hit browse, I'm going to put desktop, I have a documentary. So I even have a still section. I can choose that, hit choose, and then say, okay. And if I go look at it, I'm going to show it to you now. I have a documentary, stills. There's my image. Boom. Just to show it to you guys. And those even get added in here somewhere. Sometimes I thought they did. Should be like a demo or something, you know, that still should get thrown in here. And if not, you just add it like you did all the other clips. Just drag and drop it, put it in your project pane and put it in your organization. So if I click here, I'm just going to go to media browser, stills, right click, import. So this way I can then put this guy anywhere I want. Let me show you how you can play with stills. If I drag this guy and I put him in over here, see, that's the still. There's no video to it. See, I can make it longer or shorter just by dragging it out. Longer, shorter. So if I only want to play for like a few seconds, there we go. Remember, I drag and drop. And the rules apply just like video. I can set an endpoint, outpoint, destination, just like my 3-point editing. So I'm going to select that and delete. So there you go. I just showed you guys 7 techniques and also talked a little bit about, you know, writing your own treatment. So this should give you plenty to think about or at least experiment with while we get into our final week here. If some of or one of you want more techniques or a different type of technique, I'll either do that demo during the office hour, or if need be, I'll make another video. But this might be it for now. But so go break a leg, have fun with Premiere. Let me stop sharing the screen. I think you know, there's plenty for you to work on now. And as always, please email me with questions. All right, everyone, go break a leg and have a productive week.